love this segment, one of my favorites of the week, and it's brought to you by Zach England of Best and Brock. Zach is a personal injury attorney that can go toe to toe with the insurance company lawyers that are trying to make sure you get as little money as possible from your personal injury incident. And Zach England of Best of Brock will take care of you. And Zach England brings you Ron Slay each and every week. Ron, how are you, sir?
I am good. Good morning, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good morning. You're banging this morning. You got the deep voice. I can tell you're feeling.
Yeah, sometime, man. Listen, I was sitting there looking in the mirror, man, and I was like, man, this pimple has been bothering me for about 4 days, man. I don't know what exactly to do about it because you're not supposed to bust them. Not supposed to bust the pimple. So that's been my research and development team has been going over that and trying to figure out what exactly I'm supposed to do with it. But that's where the deep voice comes from. The
If you're
frustration.
if you're not going to be in public, I'm a fan of busting them, but you immediately put Neosporin on it, so you look like
Ah.
you got cream on your face, but you can't really do that in public. So that's
Nah, yeah, nah, y'all ain't trying to run around. I don't want to run around with the little the little dots on my head.
don't even wipe it off, but it'll knock it out. I promise. So funny you bring that up. I had this conversation with my son just the other day, and Ron, I mean, you're over 30. I'm almost 50. When in the heck do we stop having pimples?
I don't know. See, I listen. I'm blaming the SEC network for this one right here because I told them when I came in, I don't need that much makeup, and she did a terrific job. She didn't give me a lot of makeup. You know, what I mean, just hit me. I don't know. I don't even know what she hit me with, like a little, I guess, foundation. I had to ask the women out there about that, but hit me with that, and I guess I don't know if I didn't clean it off right or what, but I haven't had pimples in at least 15, 20 years. So
When
I'm blaming the makeup.
I did a video shot for ESPN in Charlotte, and I said, "No, I don't need any makeup." And they said, "Trust me, everybody else is wearing it. You need some." And
That was a nice way to say it, huh?
yeah, that was a nice way to say it. They put it on. I looked 10 years younger. I was like, "Can you put some more on?"
And just leave it on. I'm gonna walk around like this every day.
I mean, I was like, "Good gracious, there's 26-year-old Dave." By the way, look at you, SEC Network. Tell me how that came about. That is awesome.
Man, a couple of people reached out to me over when we went to do SEC Media Day actually for football, and Craig Pinkerton, who was over our who was our SID when I was in school. So
I
you know
know.
he's working with SEC, and he was searching for me. He was like, "Man, I got somebody you gotta meet, you gotta meet, you gotta meet." So he ended up meeting me and getting a face-to-face meeting with Pete Waters, and Pete Waters talked to me, and we had a conversation, and it kind of died down for about 2-3 months, and then they hit me up and was like, you know, do I want to come in for an audition? Went in for the audition, knocked it out with Peter Burns, one take, and then it was just waiting. And they hit me up probably right around Christmas and said they reviewed it and wanted to get some work done. So January 7th was supposed to be the start date. Ended up pushing it back to the next week, to last week being the 14th, because they added on some color commentary games. So that was a good look.
So, when do you start doing color?
January 25th, the next week, the what game do I have? A&M and Auburn at Auburn.
That is phenomenal. Happy for you, man. That's great stuff.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. So you next time you see me, we'll be on the road doing this.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be should be in a hotel. Hopefully we got good internet, baby.
Yeah, I'm knocking on wood right now. What did you think? Let's go back to Saturday. Here we are having the discussion that John Calipari may be fired. And Kentucky's able to beat Tennessee. What did you think of their response? What did you think of Tennessee's play on Saturday before we get to last night?
I thought it was good, man. I thought Kentucky responded to exactly what Cal needed. I think in the sense it wasn't even Cal. I think the players took control of the locker room. I think the leadership from Sheboy calling his teammates out, and Or those guys respecting him enough as the player of the year and watching his work ethic and watching his lead by example. I would imagine in practice and things of that nature, his work after practice to follow him. So it looked like it bled right over into the court. It was interesting though, man, and I keep pointing to this that Saville Wheeler didn't play. He didn't play in that Tennessee game. And you also saw last night when they were playing Georgia, when he was in the game, it was a different style of play for Kentucky. So it seems to be that they play better with Casey Wallace at the point guard spot. So I guess the tweaking of that lineup and the defense of Casey Wallace on players gets them to flow and gets the ball hopping around a little bit different. Guys, Seville Wheeler to be impactful has to be handling the ball because he can't shoot really well, but he's good at setting guys up. But that means the ball sticks. And defensively, if you're a good defensive team, that's easier to guard than the ball popping around side to side. And I think that's where Tennessee got in a little bit of trouble. And then at the same time, that was an uncharacteristic going of Tennessee also. Being if you go back to it and you ask Coach Barnes, what do we need to do going into this game to be successful? Guarantee you're going to say physicality is going to be one. Understanding defensive assignments, 2, stopping them in transition, and 3, 4, not giving up second chance points. They did all of that. They were the most physical team. They gave up open shots, were undisciplined on closeouts. What else, man? It's a list that goes on and on. They got hit in the mouth and didn't swing back. It was just a lot going on. And I know officials played a little bit a part of that game. I don't want to overlook that, but at the same time, you still had an opportunity with all that being said and done to finish the game when it was tied up, and you missed 11 layups. It's just, that was a focal point coming into that game, according to the reports. Practice, they lay it up with putting the little orange strips. They talked about it before the game, being able to make layups, and then you go out there and miss 11. So that's tough, man. And then you didn't get the performances you thought you should out of the individual guys. Zakai at the same time of Olivier, so you go through ups and downs. It's a rivalry. It's supposed to happen every now and then, but you just don't want to repeat that. And I think Kentucky did a good job answering the bell.
Yeah, Ryan, before we get to the Mississippi State game, I want to limit one more thing about the Kentucky game from Tennessee's side, because I think, it's a noon tip-off, Chris Lofton's number being retired. You can kind of understand maybe not shooting the ball well from the outside, a little bit sloppy guard play, missing some layups. The thing
How do we lose Caleb?
Always hustle plays, but...
Oh, he's back.
Say it one more time, Caleb.
Yeah, repeat. Okay. You broke up a little bit.
Sorry, I was going to say that offensive rebounds aren't always hustle plays, but in this case, when you're built the way Tennessee is, and also Tennessee missed, I want to say 7 more three-pointers than Kentucky, and usually offensive rebounds come from breaking balls a lot more.
Yep.
They shouldn't have allowed Kentucky to get 9 more offensive rebounds. Was there anything beyond just lack of effort that caused that?
I want to say no, but it just felt like when you get out rebounded by 20, regardless of it's offensive, whatever it may be, like that's a look in a mirror moment. Like they wanted it more, they showed it more. You looked at when the ball went up, Kentucky had 4 people in the lane on offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds and fighting. The only person I saw fighting consistently was Euros. Outside of him, you saw Phillips early on with the putback and things of that nature, but you didn't get to see that active motor in him. You didn't get to see guys out there getting the long rebounds like what you're talking about when the ball gets tapped up and, people being Johnny on the spot and going and getting the ball. Usually you see Zakai coming up with it, him getting fouled. It's a foul and take the ball out on the side. You see guards getting in there, getting it, but you didn't see that, man. I think there was a lot of will in that game for Kentucky over Tennessee. I just think Tennessee, this happens. You know what I'm saying? This is the difference when you bleed over coming from football into basketball, and the the importance of one game, and all of a sudden, then you get to basketball, you're like, oh, we're a top 10 team. We lost a game. Oh, what are we supposed to do? But you got to play the next 2 days later, 3 days later, you got to go play again. So it's not that much put on it until you get to the tournament. But I just think, man, as fans and media and everything, you just got to take a step back and understand, man, that sometimes it is about the will and the want. And to answer your question, yeah, I think in this situation, Kentucky really just wanted it more. Like they needed this more in order to right the ship, coming off a loss at Alabama the way that was, then getting beat at in Rupp against South Carolina. Like those were ugly losses. And to come in there and take a pounding, like they were supposed to get beat by 20 against Tennessee, without question, if Tennessee brought the game that they were supposed to bring. But that didn't happen. So you right that ship, and then you look up, and now Kentucky's trying to, inch back up in there to the upper echelon of the SEC.
Please click that like button, the thumbs up button, so we can bring more people in. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure and do so. We greatly appreciate that. Ron, at what point does Santiago Escoe's injury become an issue of worry from the standpoint of chemistry? I mean, I have no reason to believe he won't be 100% headed into March, but wouldn't you like to have him right now to be able to work out the minutes and everything?
Yeah, you would. I think with a guy like Santi, the importance of what he brings to the game as far as the scouting report and how the defenses are going to play him, and what it does for guys that are setting screens, getting them open just because he's involved in the action. That's a different dynamic, man, bringing it to the game. So yeah, you would definitely want to have him. I think he's also a guy that can miss some time right now early and be able to incorporate himself back into the game and be able to kind of get flowing without it being because his game's not based on athleticism. His game's not really based on his is more of a read and react thing. And I think a lot of times when you're a vet, you can get a lot of that from film. And sometimes it is better taking a step back. You also add something, taking a step back from the game and watching it from a bird's eye view instead of being in it. I would expect him to come back, even if it was 2 or 3 games that he had to miss, and bring a whole different breath of fresh air to the game. Different than what kind of similar to what Josiah brings offensively. Like when he was making shots last night, it was like, man, where we gonna get these shots from? And boom, he hit 3 threes. I think that's kind of what Santi brings to the game. And it also gives these guys an opportunity to step up. I think when they were thriving early in the year, it was because of Josiah being out. And you got a guy like Tyreek Key. Now you got to go shoot the ball, shooter. You know what I'm saying? You got guys like Jamal Mayshek that was able to get in there and have energy plays. Julian Phillips had more confidence last night, being able to shoot the ball, knowing that he wasn't Santi. So those shots that Santi would get, you saw Zakai being put in a role where he's able to run off screens and make shots. So you get the other guys to get to kind of develop and learn how to play without having a guy that's that reliable in those moments to have the hot hand and be able to make threes and create for others. So I think it's a good thing, man, honestly. And the way this team is built, they're built on defense. You know what I'm saying? So the offense doesn't necessarily dictate how the game will flow or go, but the defense does. Now, of course, you got to put the ball in the hole at some time. We saw that last night. So you get other opportunities for other guys, and I think they'll be just fine without Santi right now. For a short stretch, not a long stretch.
Right. So, Ron, let's talk about the game last night a little bit. I heard Rick Barnes just use the word character in the post-game press conference. And, you got 2 starters out. You're down by 9 with 6 minutes to go in the first half. Your offense is not clicking at all. And then you just flip a switch. What does it say about this team to be able to do that coming off of such a bad loss over the weekend?
It says to me, man, his players really understand exactly what he wants from him, because you got Coach Barnes coming out there with no voice. He would remind you of Don Corleone. When Don Corleone would lose his voice, and a lot of times he was just looking, and it'll be ruckus going on, and he'll look at his guy and be like, "Do you trust me?" Yeah, we trust you. Well, listen to Mike. Mike's in charge. So you know what I'm saying? You're looking at Coach Gainey. Coach Gainey's in charge, but y'all see I'm still right here. So get this stuff in order. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a lot of it, man. What makes that switch click is they don't want to go back in that locker room and deal with him. You know what I mean? They don't want to deal with him in film sessions. They don't want to deal with him when he does finally get his voice back. Like, it's different, man. Like, as a player, a competitive guy, you never want to be called out. And one thing he has no problem with doing is calling you out. You know what I'm saying? And calling you out in your face and then going out to the masses and letting them know exactly what he just said to you. You got to go and answer that on the floor. So that's one thing. And then second, man, you when you're built the way you are, you got a guy in strength and conditioning like Big G that holds these guys down and pushes these guys to limits, and you know their conditioning, you know they're strong. Man, go out there and show it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing all this weightlifting and things like this for? You big and bad, you enforcers, Euros, you like to push people, but you're getting out rebounded. Like, show me something. Olivia, you so talented. You got all the potential in the world. Show me something out here. Here's your opportunity to show me something. Y'all just got punked at home when Chris Lofton was getting his jersey retired. The gym was full. You had stars come down. You had people leave work to come down there early. Candace Parker came down there. Allen Houston left the Knicks and came down there. Like, you got everybody down there. Y'all got embarrassed. You know, it was a close loss, you know what I mean? But call it what it is, y'all got punked. So here's an opportunity on the road, which you got two people down with everything stacked against you. It's okay in a sense to lose this game and use it as an excuse. We missed two of our key guys. What you gonna do? And you saw guys step up. You saw it as a cat. You understand why the stories were written about him with the family and house burning and everything. You saw that step up. You saw Josiah step up. Saw how he do finally play like a rim protector the way he's supposed to play. Julian Phillips, you finally got to see that motor that we were looking for early in the Kentucky game to lead over and go all the way into the second half. His motor was relentless. Like, this man was flying to the boards, and they were face boxing him a couple of times, and he was still swim moving, getting around, going to catch it off the rim. So you had an opportunity to show your character after that Kentucky game, and I think that was in the back of the mind of these guys, and they came out and showed true character.
Ron Slay's appearance brought to you by Zach England, a Best and Brock Best personal injury attorney in Chattanooga. Zach's got your back. Last thing for me, Ron, and that is, I love Sky Ziegler. I love watching him play, but the ups and downs and the inconsistency. I mean, my goodness, as a teammate, when you go into a game, do you have to kind of identify? I'm trying to think of I don't really recall a player that was like that with you. I maybe Tony Harris, maybe, but
yeah,
you have
the first person come to mind.
Okay. Do you have to kind of identify whether or not they're on or off, and does that affect what you have to do that night?
A little bit. But I think at the same time, man, like, speaking to guys like Tony Harris, you know how they work, you know, and I think with Zakai, you know how he works. And at some point, there's no way you would trade him out for anyone, knowing that at some point in the game, he's gonna hit the switch and make up for it, not on one end, but both ends. He's gonna be a pest defensively, and at given the opportunity, he has the mentality to, like, forget it. I'm gonna go score. And you saw it. All you gotta do is continue to play basketball. He's a guy, man, that had so much success last year as a freshman and an underdog and flying under the radar that you almost forget. Like, he hasn't had to be in a role yet without having a wingman on his side and all the responsibility being put on his shoulder. You know, yeah, Kennedy, who was being brought along, and he was testing Kennedy, but at the same time, it was up to Kennedy for how far this team would go last year. You know, the same thing, but this year with Santi. With Josiah being out, Santi was the guy. How far do we go? It's kind of up to Santi, you know what I'm saying, in the grand scheme of things. Now you take these guys out of the mix and you put him right there, and this dude is on your shoulders. Like, it ain't no more looking around. Who you gonna defer to? It's on you. Like, you're the one that got us in this hole. Can you answer the bell? And I think he has it's a guy with strong character, man, and a mental will. Like, out of this world. So he's gonna go out there and get it done. And you cannot, regardless if he got it going, if he don't, you got to believe in him, man, because the work that he puts in, and you can believe in him and lean on him. And I truly believe, man, down the stretch of games, he's gonna get better. Like, he's only a sophomore. I think, man, that because of his voice, you think he might be a senior or a 5th year or 6th year senior because it's so deep. You know what I mean? He seemed like he's 35 years old, but man, it's still a baby in a sense, especially in the game, playing at this high level. Even though we've been playing in AAU, when you get to college and get to playing Power 5, that's a different style of ball. And then when you get into SEC Power 5, that's a different style of ball. So still, I think getting acclimated to it, man, and he's going to be all right. He's going to be all right.
Ron Slay, SEC Network, 104.5 The Zone. He is huge. He's monstrous. He's awesome. We appreciate the time. Brought to you by Zach England of Best and Brock. Zach's got your back in the Chattanooga area for personal injury attorney. And I'll leave you with this, Ron. If you knock when everything's submitted and you're like a regular guy on SEC Network, of course, that's tied in with ESPN. I just want to give you this, and that's owned by Disney, that you knock on the right doors and you get free passes to Disney. I just want to let you know that, because that's like a $15,000 bonus check. That place is expensive. So you still have to pay. You still have to pay for parking.
Yeah.
But you can get the rest of it free. I'm just going to let you know. Okay?
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. My son and my wife, I promise you, they're going to love every minute of that. Nephews, everybody going to love that. So
one of the most frustrating moments of my life as a parent, we drove all the way down there. I pulled all the strings to get the tickets. And my daughter, who was 8 years old, said, "Next time, Daddy, can we just go someplace close like Dollywood?" I mean, bent the steering wheel as I was
I see. At 8 years old, she would have had to figure out this. You're gonna learn how to drive this week, because you driving us back. I'm gonna put my seatbelt on and I'm gonna leave it up to Jesus, because he got the wheel on this. So I'm done. I'm outdone.
Tell everybody in Nashville I said hello. I appreciate you.
Most definitely, man. Appreciate you guys.
Have a good one, Ron.
All right. Brought to you by Zach England of Best of Brock.